the ground shake.
From maximum security prisons in the United States to political prisoner camps in North Korea, we count down the 10 most violent prisons in the world.
Number 10.
We start off our list in the U.S. with San Quentin State Prison. San Quentin is home to the largest death row population in the U.S. Up until 1944, torture was an approved method of interrogation in the prison. Execution by gas chamber was used until 1995, when it was ruled cruel and unusual punishment. San Quentin has been the home to several notable inmates, including Charles Manson and the Crips founder Stanley Williams. The prison is notorious for gang-related riots and has been under scrutiny for internal corruption.
Number 9.
Bang Kwang Prison. This men's prison in Thailand specifically handles those sentenced to death and prisoners with long sentences. Death row inmates at the prison have their leg irons permanently welded on. When it comes to meals, prisoners only receive one bowl of rice with vegetable soup each day, and all other food must be purchased from the canteen. Poor prisoners end up working and doing chores for wealthier prisoners and guards to earn money for food.
Number 8.
La Santé Prison. Located in Paris, France, this prison is such a brutal place that hundreds of prisoners have committed suicide. Dr. Vanique Vasseur began working at the prison and was so shocked she started keeping a diary. Only working at the prison for a few days, she noted inmates severely depressed to the extent that they had swallowed rat poison, forks, and even drain cleaner. She noted that skin diseases were rampant because prisoners were only allowed to shower twice a week and prisoners had to stuff their clothes in cracks in their cells to keep the rats out. The prison was later accused of systematic rape, crude healthcare, humiliation of visiting families, and drug dealing by the guards.
Number 7.
Carandiru Penitentiary. Built in 1920 in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Carandiru was South America's largest prison and housed over 8,000 inmates. On Friday, October 2, 1992, a prisoner revolt broke out that triggered a riot and saw the prison stormed by military police. While the police were taking the prison back, 102 prisoners were shot and killed and another 9 were killed by other inmates. The massacre was considered a major human rights violation and the prison was demolished on December 9th of 2002.
Number 6.
Camp 1391. This Israeli Defense Force prison camp is for high-risk prisoners in northern Israel. There's quite a bit of secrecy around the prison, and its existence was only discovered in 2003. Camp 1391 has been dubbed the Israeli Guantanamo and has been highly criticized for its human rights violations. Inmates were denied visits from the Red Cross. They were not told where they were, and neither were their families or their lawyers. 600 complaints of alleged torture were brought against the prison between 2001 and 2006, but none were followed up on.
Number 5.
San Juan de Lurigancho. Considered to be one of the toughest and most overcrowded in the world, San Juan de Lurigancho is one of the largest prisons in Peru. The prison was built to hold around 2,000 prisoners and currently houses over 7,000. Prisoners are not locked up in individual cells and are left to do pretty much whatever they want. Inmates can be seen selling things like DVDs and drugs, and acts of violence and murder are commonplace.
Number 4.
La Sabaneta. Notorious for its rampant violence and brutal living conditions, La Sabaneta in Venezuela is the worst of the worst. The prison is severely overcrowded and disease is prevalent. At one point, an outbreak of cholera killed over 700 inmates. No activities at the prison are allowed, and prisoners fashion weapons and fight amongst themselves to pass the time.
Number 3.
Muhanga Prison. Formerly known as Gitarama, this prison in Rwanda, built for 400, houses almost 7,000 inmates. After the horrific genocide that claimed the lives of 500,000 people, there was no sympathy for those responsible for their murder, and the prison became extremely overcrowded. Each inmate was said to only have 1 square yard of space, and 1 in 8 prisoners had died over the course of a year in 1995. On June 5, 2014, a fire caused by an electrical fault destroyed the men's block of the prison, and prisoners were relocated to other correctional facilities in the area.
Number 2.
Tadmor Prison. Located in eastern Syria, Tadmor Prison is around 200 kilometers northeast of Damascus. The prison was known for human rights abuses, torture, and summary executions. During the 1980s, members of a paramilitary force under the command of Rafat al-Assad entered the prison and killed over 1,000 prisoners. In May of 2014, the Islamic State took over the complex and blew it up with explosives.
Number 1.
Hworyong Concentration Camp. Known as Penal Labor Colony No. 22, this death camp in North Korea is completely isolated from the outside world. Exact details of what happens at the prison are unknown, but former guards and prisoners who have escaped tell stories of mass starvation, torture, and human experimentation. One guard estimated that 1,500 to 2,000 people die every year from malnutrition, and despite the deaths, the inmate population stays constant. Prisoners and their families are held indefinitely and are usually worked to death or die from disease or starvation. In 2012, satellite imagery indicated major changes, and North Korea reported the camp was shut down in June of that year.